India is an extremely gender-biased society. The participation of women in whether it's politics, whether it's in positions of any form of policy making in any sector, whether it's education, health, you look at anything, industry, etc., is abysmal. There are some figures which exist. You know, we have the largest number of educated women in the world, uneducated women in the world, roughly 37%. And one of the biggest problems, as was just pointed out to me recently, is that how are these women going to face the next 20 to 30 years of their life till the next generation of women who are going to be probably, presumably and hopefully better educated than them, come up and take over from them. I don't know if you're aware, but the new government, the BJP government, the current government of India, has introduced or is going to be taking up a huge program on what is called skilling. It's more like, I think in your terms, what is technical education. That is where you, if people have not gone beyond, say, the 5th or the 8th standard in school, what skills can they be empowered with, or how can they be trained in such, in order to be able to become at least economically independent, what we call standing on our own feet. Now, the question here is that whether it's legalization or decriminalization, there is a very thin line. What do you mean by decriminal? When you decriminalize anything, it means you actually try to bring it within the ambit of the law. Currently today in India, per se, sex work is not illegal. It's not a crime. But everything that surrounds it, if you work out of the brothel, if you solicit a client, if you're working against your own wish, that is forced sex work, etc., everything around it is a crime. So what happens is that eventually that, except being a client, which is not a crime. Most sex workers will tell you that they would like to have it decriminalized so that their children can have access especially to education and a choice. It's true that almost very few women come into sex work voluntarily. They come into sex work because they don't have a choice. Normally, the economic choice. They are illiterate. They are, of course, cheated by whoever has brought them into the trade. Some of them are often brought below the age of 18, that is when they are minors. But the majority of sex workers will tell you that, look, I've spent 5-10 years in this trade, now let me be. It's not as if I want to leave it, and if I do leave it, either my past will follow me, or I really don't have the skills to be able to stand on my own feet and earn as much as I'm doing now, so leave me in it. But yes, I'd like to offer my children an option. And in order to offer that option, they must have access to services that the normal or the women outside of the sex trade consider as a norm. For example, education, health, legal services, the protection of the police if they need it, and access to judicial remedies. When we started work with sex workers, you know, their children would be with them in their classes, and the condoms, they used to blow them up, and apparently it's quite a common game in India. But we still don't want to talk about sex, at least not openly. I know very few children who can ask their parents even today questions actually on sex, regardless of whether they're girls or boys. It's all glossed over. No details are ever discussed. Perhaps this duplicity between thought and behavior, that is our hypocrisy, stands in the way of much good work that can be done by everybody. No government can manage to solve all the problems or even most of the problems of any country on its own. What is called civil society participation is extremely important. As a member of both the party and the government today, I can tell you that we look forward and are very keen to participate along with civil society.